Hi and welcome to another episode of Peacemake TV. In today's video for WordPress, we're going to be taking a look at how we can work with the front-end page builder of Divi 3. Now, if you've never used Divi and you don't know what it is, it's basically a visual page builder for WordPress. And what that means is we can simply create graphically enhanced, good-looking pages with a drag-and-drop piece of software that plugs in and expands what WordPress can do. So in this video, I'm going to show you the front-end version. In other words, where we can build it looking at the page itself with all of the different template elements. If you want to use the alternative version of Divi, where you just sort of develop everything in the back end, I've got a video that covers that from a beginner's point of view, and I'll link that in the description below. Pop a little link up in the corner right now so you can check that out, and then you can see exactly how you can build your pages from either method that works for you. So let's just jump into WordPress, let's open up Divi and take a look at how we can start creating our pages. So before we start, just a little thing about what we're going to use with Divi. There are two versions of Divi. Basically, you have the page builder, which is a standalone product you can use with pretty much any theme. Or you've got the Divi 3 theme that has the page builder as part of it. So it's integrated into the overall theme. That's what we're going to be using. But if you'd like to see a video on how you can use Divi with something like Ocean WP and see what options are available in there, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll take a look at creating a video that covers just that for you in the future. Okay, before we go any further, if you are thinking of purchasing Divi, either the theme or the standalone, and you'd like to help support this channel and what we do, please consider using the affiliate links in the description below. Gives a small percentage back to us, helps us create more content for you. Anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at what we can do now with Divi 3. So you can see I'm in the admin or the dashboard of WordPress and I'm looking at the pages section. Now I've created a blank page called Page Builder. There's nothing on this, we're just going to click and open that up. And when you install Divi, the theme or the page builder, you're going to see some additional options. The one we're interested in is use the Divi builder. And what that'll do is that'll replace this area, the normal content area that's part of WordPress itself. So once we click on that, that'll load in the Divi builder. Now this is the sort of the back end version. In other words, we're just looking at rows and columns and building blocks. We don't see what's actually inside there. So for some people, this is a great way of working without those distractions, but for others, you prefer a much more visual method of working. Well, we can do that quite easily. We can just jump into the visual builder. So once we click on that, that will load in the actual page template, the theme. So you can see we've got the header area with the navigation and the footer area and anything else we've created as part of the theme itself. But we now have these additional content areas that we can use to start building up our pages. Now I'm going to keep it really simple in this video. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail on creating great looking landing pages or an entire website. I want to show you the basics. But again, if you'd like to see more videos in this series where I do show you how to build an entire website, an e-commerce site, all different kinds of websites, again, please pop that in the comment section below and I'll be happy to take a look at creating future content using Divi. Okay. So what do we have? Well, we fundamentally have two different things going on here right now. And this is the sort of the default building block that's automatically populated when you just use Divi and you use the page builder aspect. So we've got this blue section, which is the row. Now, if you're used to things like spreadsheets, you'll know that everything comes in rows and columns. And basically all your visual page builders, whether that's Elementor, Visual Composer, Divi, or any of the others, they all work in that simple building block fashion. You can have rows and inside rows, you can have columns and inside columns, you can put different widgets, text widgets, pictures, and so on. So you've got a huge array of different things we can do, but in a very simple environment. So the first thing I want to do is just break down what these two different components do, the options we have, the interface, and then we'll take a look at actually putting some content into these and building up some basics. So first up, let's take a look at this blue part, which is the section. In other words, we've got a section that can have multiple rows, and each row could be broken up into columns. So we have a series of context-based icons available for this particular section. You can see the first option is to move it. So when we have a couple of different sections stacked on top of each other, we can easily move those around if we want to reposition things. Next up, we've got the option that goes in and allows us to choose the section settings. And if we click on there, you can see this opens up a new dialog box that gives us options for the content, design, and advanced. And underneath there, we've got different options. So under the content, we've got the background, the admin label. Under design, we've got a whole range of different options in there for layout, sizing, and so on. The nice thing about this particular interface is if you find this box is a little bit sort of in your face and taking up too much of your design, you can simply use these little icons in the top right hand corner that allow you to collapse this down and put it into a sidebar. So we can easily click, put it into a sidebar on the left hand side. If you want to bring that back out, you can simply stretch this out to get it bigger or smaller. And if you want to bring it back out, you can simply use the second icon. So a really well thought out interface that allows us to easily create content without this getting in the way. If we look at the bottom, we've got 4 different options. We've got the X to close things down, the tick to save things out and finish what we're doing, and then we've got the undo and redo options. We've also got a help icon that allows us to go and find help about any particular tool or function that we're currently working with. Okay, so let's just close this down. And let's come back and you can see now we've got the third icon, which is duplicate section. So we can click and create an identical duplicate. So any settings that we set up in this, any design options we set up, we could duplicate it and all those will be carried over. So if I click, you'll see we now get an identical duplicate of our first section. Next up, we've got the option to actually add this or save this to our own custom library. Now, when you're creating websites and pages and things, you're going to find there are going to be various different elements that you might continually use. You might create a header that has a specific graphic and a search function in there, and you want that to be the top of every page. Well, you could save that section to your section library, then call that back up later on and add that to any page you want from your library. And finally, we have the option to delete this particular section. So if I click, you'll see that now deletes it. So that's all there is to the sections. We've also got pretty much exactly the same options available then for our row. You can see we can move things around. We've got our row settings. We've got duplicate. We have an additional option now to break this up to change the column structure. So at the moment, we have a row with just one column. If I want to introduce extra columns into this, so instead of it just being one row with one column, I can simply click and you can see I've got some predefined layouts I can choose from. So I could say, let's break this into a 3-column equal column section. Click and you see now we broke it up into 3 columns. Pretty simple. We've got the same option again, which allows us to save this row to the library as opposed to the section. So again, we're not limited to creating just sections. We can create rows if we want to and save that to our own custom library. And finally, we've got the option to delete this row. So really quite a straightforward interface. Now each one of these different sections inside our columns, you can see we've got a plus. That allows us to go in and add in any of the chosen widgets. Now we'll jump back to that in a moment and take a look at what options are available in there. For now, we'll leave it where it is while we look at the rest of the interface. If we come down, you can see we've got the option at the bottom of this particular row to add a new row in. So I can click. It'll ask me what kind of row do you want to put in, and you can see we've got the same options, insert a new row, or we can add from the library. So if we'd saved something, we could load it in. So let's just say we want to put in a typical 1 row, 1 column row. And there we go. That'll add that in there. And you can see we've now got 2 different sections. If I want to get rid of that, I can simply use the little trash can icon and it's deleted. Now at the bottom, we've also got this plus, which actually allows us to go in and create a new section. So this blue area, you can see everything is color coded. The blue is a section, the green is a row. It's kind of a nice visual way of being able to see exactly what's going on. So we'll leave that for now because that works in exactly the same way as just adding in a new row. What we have right at the bottom is this purple button. If we click on that, you can see that opens up a whole range of more context-based information. So we've got 3 distinct sections on here. We've got the section on the left-hand side, we've got all the different options then in the middle, and we've got the save option on the right-hand side. So let's go through the different sections first of all. Let's take a look at the one on the left-hand side. So looking at this section, you can see we've got 5 distinct different buttons. We've got the wireframe view, the zoom in view or zoom out view. We've also then got the option to check it out or what our layout's going to look like on the various different devices, a desktop, tablet and a mobile. So first of all, wireframe, what does that do? Well, if we click on that, it pretty much shows you a wireframe view which looks very similar to what the back-end version of the Divi Builder does. It takes out all the different graphical elements, the text blocks, all the widgets and so on, and just shows us a simple layout view, which is very useful if you want to get rid of distractions and see exactly what's going on under the hood. We've also got the option then to zoom out. So you can click on that, you can see that zooms right out, and we can zoom back in. And then we've got the desktop view, we've got the tablet view, and we've got the mobile view or the phone view. So all very easy. We can just click between any of those and just call them up and see exactly what they do. So some pretty useful tools in there. We've now got this section in the middle. So the first option we have in there is the load from library. So we can load something in from our library. We've also got the option then that allows us to save to library. We can delete, we can close this down, we can go to the settings for our page, we can also then go through and see the editing history that we have available on there, and also we've got the portability options. And then finally, we have save on the right-hand side, which allows us to save the page that we're currently working on. So that's a basic overview of the Divi 3 interface. You can see it's well thought out, the color coding makes things a lot easier, and there's a lot of tools and options available to us. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a look at some of the widgets and how we can start building things up. Then we'll take a look at some typical operations where you'll duplicate different sections, move things around when you start to build up the page that you're working on. So now that we have our 3-column row, let's take a look at adding in some content. All we need to do is click on the plus to add something in. They call it modules, but it's widgets. There's different terminology used for all the same kinds of things. So we click on there, you can see we can now go through and choose exactly what we want this particular column inside this row to contain. We can search through if we want to, or we can just simply scroll through all the different options. So let's just say we want to use an image. We can search for that. Click to add an image in there, and you can see now that the options on the left-hand side come up and say, right, what do you want to do? We need to have this information to put this content in there for you. You've chosen an image, well, that's the context-based information we're going to see on the left-hand side. So first things first, we can upload our image if we want to, so we can click on there. It takes us over to our library view. If we want to, we can upload something, but just for ease, I'll just choose an image I've already got in there. You can see it's the normal WordPress sort of option, so you can go through and do things like your alignment, your link to the size you want to use, and all those kinds of good things. Let's choose large on there, say upload image, and then that puts the image in there for us. If we want to make that a link, we can simply come in, we can just say we want to open this in a lightbox, for example, so when that's clicked, it'll open it up in a nice lightbox view. Again, really easy. You can check a box, it does it. If you don't, it doesn't do it. If you want to link that through to something, you can put the link in there and then specify how does it open up in its own window and so on. You can go through and set backgrounds. So you can see we can set a background color, we can set a background gradient, an image or a video. So again, some really cool, useful things in there. The admin label is available, and we'll take a look at things like that later, further on down the line in different videos, when we can get into more complex issues when it comes to using Divi 3. Go to the design side of things, and you can see we've got, again, a ton of options. Everything is compacted down, so all those different options in here are collapsed. So all you need to do is just click to open up the relevant options. And you see always center on image on mobile, which is a really useful tool because you might want to align things to the left or the right when you've got it on a desktop view. But when it comes to a mobile, the image might not be full width, and therefore it looks a bit odd if it sort of goes over to the right-hand side with some space on the left. It's great you can have this option that just says, yes, always center my image on a mobile. Same things with sizing. You can see we can go to force full width if we want to, or we can set a width. We can also come in and choose what width we want that to be based upon the devices being viewed on, so desktop, tablet and smartphone. Again, really easy. And if you're coming over to something like this from Elementor or Visual Composer, a lot of these options, even though they may be in different places, they're all going to work in a very similar fashion. So you should find, once you're accustomed to work with any kind of visual page builder, swapping between them isn't that difficult. Okay, so we can leave that. We'll say let's force full width on there. We can put things like borders, box shadows, filters, and animations on there. Choose an animation, for example. We can say it'll fade, so when the page loads in, the image will fade in. You can get a little bit of motion on your page to make it look the way you want. So, pretty cool. Advanced, you can see this is where you get in and start dealing with things like the CSID and classes. So if you wanted to assign this a particular class, and let's just say, for example, you had 10 images throughout your site that you assigned the same class to, you could then target those with some custom CSS, which again is very, very similar to a lot of themes out there and a lot of page builders. Gives you the same kind of functionality. Way beyond what we're going to cover in this video, but they're there should you need them. So now that we've seen how to add an image, let's take a look at how we add some text in. So let's do the same thing again. We'll click to add a new option, and we'll just type in text. We can filter that out, click to add that in, and again you can see we now end up with a context box on the left hand side that gives us all the tools that are specific to working with the text block. So I just grabbed a little bit of text I'm going to paste in there, and you can see once we click in there, we've got the normal editor that we're used to when we're working with WordPress itself. So everything you should be used to, including probably a couple of extra little options are in there. If we want to go to the code side of things, we can do that as well. Add media in, all the things you should be used to when you're working with WordPress. Again, we've got the option for different kinds of backgrounds and the admin label design. Again, we've got lots of different options. We can come in and control the actual text, any links that are on there, the colors, the weight, text size. So we can really get in and fine tune exactly what we want. And again, under the advanced section, you can see we can assign custom IDs and classes and go through the custom CSS and visibility. So just for ease, let's take a look at this image. And let's take a look at how we can go through and we can duplicate that to put into the right-hand column. So you can simply come over and you see we now have an additional context set of tools, all very similar. Move, settings, duplicate, add to your library, and delete. You should be used to these because they are replicated throughout the entire interface. What we're going to do is we're going to say we want to duplicate this, click, create a perfect duplicate below. We'll simply grab that, drag it over to the right-hand column, let go. There's our image. All of the settings that we've set up in this, the fade and so on, are automatically transferred over to that. We now have a perfect duplicate with everything in place. So you can see it's very quick and easy to build these up. Now let's just say, for example, I wanted to change the image on there, but retain all the different settings. Well, I can do that simply by clicking. Use the context menu and simply come up and upload and choose a different image. So we'll choose this one. It's probably a different aspect ratio, but that's fine for now. Click OK. And there we go. So you can see we've kept all the different options, the different fades and so on, but we just duplicated the content and changed the image itself. So again, really cool, really simple, really, really easy. So that's how you work with rows and columns inside Divi. If we wanted to do something with the actual section, we can do that. So let's just say, for example, we want to come back in, edit this section, come into the background area, and let's just say we want to put an image in the background. Well, we can simply click image, choose that option there, pick the image we want, upload the image, and you can see that immediately puts it in the background. If we want to use a parallax effect, we can easily enable that, and as we scroll up and down the page, that parallax effect will come into play. You can see we have a couple of different options for true parallax or CSS parallax, and really easy. We can turn that off. We want to put it to a background color, for example. We can click, choose a different color. So let's just say we'll go for black, but we'll just bring that down to a light gray. And finally, to make that show, we just need to get rid of the image. So all we're going to do is click to delete that, and you can see now our background color shows through. So really easy to deal with, nothing rocket science about it. It's all very similar to dealing with any of the other page builders. But also, like I say, if you're ever unsure with anything to do with a page builder like this, click the section, click the settings, and see what you can do. Experiment. What's the worst that can happen? You make a mess of it, you have to delete it. But you've also got undo and redo. So if you do make a mess, just undo the different stages to go back to where it was all tidy. So really, really simple. Once you've done that, you can simply close this down. So we can get rid of that if we want to. Close it down, hit the tick box. And now what we need to do is click on save. That'll save the page with everything in place. Now, if we take a look at the wireframe version, you can see exactly what happens. Where we've placed the images in there, it now removes those and just puts the placeholders and just tells you what's going to be contained inside that box. So it's really useful if you want to get in and have a completely uncluttered view and you want to duplicate things without the images, or if you have a really complex page that just kind of goes on a long way, switching to this wireframe view just means you get rid of all the distractions, headers, footers, template pieces, as well as all the different widgets or modules that are actually being used. So before I wrap this introduction video up, I just want to show you one more thing. That's the actual page settings. We've taken a look at the settings for sections and rows and different modules, but let's take a look at the page settings themselves. So just click, and you can see we've got the normal content, design, and advanced tabs. We've also got things like background, split testing. If we go to the design, you see the color palette. If we open that up, you can see there's the default color picker palette we can go through, the default spacing, default text, colors, and so on. So you can come into this and you can do things that affect the entire page. So let's take a look at how we do something like change the background color. So if I click to open the background option up, and we'll say we've got content area background color. So if we click on there, all we need to do is just find the color we want. Let's just push this over. You can see at the moment nothing is showing up on there because it's showing it as transparent. So what we need to do is just bring that up, and you'll see now that the background color is actually changing to the color that we've chosen, including the transparency. So we can change the background color, we can do section backgrounds and so on. So you can really get in there and just set those kind of things up if you want to. Let's just undo that. And you can see each time I click the undo, it undoes what I've done. Once we're happy, click there, we're back out of it. So we've got options in there that are page wide, section wide, We've also got rows and columns, and also right the way down to each one of the modules that we work with. So you will find the more you use Divi 3, the more you'll be using the same set of tools, no matter what type of object you're working with within the page builder itself. So it's really quite straightforward. It's just getting used to that row, column, section mindset, and then building things up from there and getting creative. Okay, so one or two little things before we wrap this up and finish up the video. Let's go and add a new section in. So what we're going to do is come down to this little blue circle, click to add a new section. When we do that, we get three options: regular, speciality, and full width. We're going to choose full width for this particular one. So we're going to click on there. That gives us a set of different options that are only related to dealing with full width content. We're going to choose a full width image. Once we do that, we're going to click on upload, and we'll find the image we're going to use, which is going to be this one of the girl sitting on a tree trunk. Click, and we say we want the full size one on there. Say upload image. You can see it's currently in the wrong position, which, okay, that's no problem at all. We'll click to close that down. All we need to do is grab the section handle now on the left hand side, drag that into position, let go, and you can see it updates itself now to show us that new image that we just put in there. So we now have this full width header. If I want to change this background color because I don't want it to be gray anymore because it doesn't fit in with the design, I can click and simply come in and click to edit this, come to the background section and just set this to be white. Set it to be full white if I want to, so I don't need transparency or anything on there. Click to close that down, and you can see now if I want to get rid of some of these things, so let's just say we'll just get rid of this image, we'll delete that out of there. And we're just very quick and easy to deal with things. We want to change the context of this, we can easily do that. Let's just say we want it to be like this. Well, there you go. We can come back in now and we'll just duplicate this. And you can see we have in context editing. So if I want to change the text in there and I want to set things to links and I want to put things like bold and change colors and indents and so on, I have all those options without having to open up the actual editor to go to the left hand side of the window. I can do everything in line. So what I'm going to do is just going to make a bit of space there. We'll copy that little bit of information. We'll just come back in, drop that in there, so we now got two lots of text in there, and we're pretty much done. So I'll click save, and very quickly and easily we've created a full width header, which obviously is a little bit too big for this example, but it just shows you what can be done. We've also changed the layer, changed the color scheme on there, and we've created a simple page layer with multiple columns with a large full widescreen header. We've changed colors, we've gone through all those different things, different aspects, all very quickly and easily using Divi 3. So one of the beautiful facts of working with this view, it just means that you're seeing exactly what the end result is going to be like. When you work in the back end, you've got to go through and preview your page and jump back and forth between those two different ways of working. This way, you can see exactly what your page is going to look like and make adjustments on the fly to make sure it looks the way you want. So that pretty much covers all the things I wanted to cover in this introduction to using the Divi 3 page builder, the front end view. Like I say, I've covered the back end version in its own dedicated video, so check that out. The link's in the description below. I hope you found this video useful. I hope it's given you insight into how you can use Divi 3 to build your own websites. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified every single time we add new content to the channel. Please also, if you're considering purchasing Divi or the theme, the page builder, whichever version, please consider using those affiliate links in the description below. Helps give a little bit back to the channel and support us. Well, if you have any comments, questions, or feedback on this video or anything else you'd like to see covered in future videos, please pop those in the comment section below. Until next time, take care.